The awakening of self, a global process of becoming. Did you ever stop to ask, where does your consciousness exist? Where does it express? Where is its domain? How is it that knowing can be passed through the mother to her child? These questions. Remember the story of the Magdalene and the link from mother to mother to mother, all being a part of the one. Do you remember? Or have you forgotten? We can no longer hit the snooze button. Wakey, wakey. So yes, this place, it is in the soul. But is that where it exists? Our consciousness, that is. Do we pass our souls on to our child? No. But we do pass on the blood. The consciousness resides in the blood. Boom. Through the process of the next decade, the masters implore you to work on the disciplines, to purify your bodies, so that you can become conduits for the new energies. Conduit channel. The emphasis of this cannot be overstated. For the initiate, it must become a way of life. Keep the vehicle clean. Eat only natural foods and supplements whenever possible. Cleansing of the blood as well as oxidation of the blood is extremely important. This enemy lives in our blood and has been unleashed through the chemtrails and fungus. There's fungus among us, which is now running rampant throughout our ecosystems. And, in truth, has infected the food chain down even to the precious plankton that live in our oceans. The plankton are dying, as are other life forms in the oceans. As the plankton die off, so does our supply of oxygen. For the plankton, the bazillions of tiny life forms filling the oceans, when they are healthy, they are the beginning of the chain for this element in this incredible alchemical garden. This enemy of which I speak exists within the electron of the protein cells of our bodies, within the very protein of the molecular structure. This is where it cloaks its presence within our sacred temples. It enters the bodies through a variety of avenues. It can enter through the air, in our water systems, through our food chain. The beast is formless. As in, it has no form of its own. Kind of parasitic. It borrows form, in a manner of speaking. I should think that the best way of describing this is through illustration. There has been, over the last century, much experimentation in the field of biological and chemical warfare, as well as a lot of experimentation with nuclear energy. All of this has taken its toll upon the ecosystem and even our atmosphere. We are the earth, and we are made from the same elements. What happens to our mother happens to us. Remember the lesson of the Magdalene. Remember the message of the Magdalene. Remember the message of the Magdalene. One of the most diabolical ways the beast has worked its way into our beingness was through petroleum. It was placed in the petroleum that was shipped to the Western countries from the Middle East. Originally, it came from Iraq, and it was created in the very biological labs established by the US, no surprise there. There were created holographic viruses that responded to frequencies. Understand, we are masters in synthesizing nature. Our entire pharmaceutical industry is built upon synthesizing the chemical components of nature. These were further researched so that they could have their own intelligence. In other words, we designed viruses that could specifically seek out a particular genetic pattern, a specific age group, and gender, and genetic composition or race. The Hunta virus, the Navajo flu, was specifically engineered to seek out Native Americans of a specific blood type between the ages of 25 and 35. Well, this virus had its own intelligence. The publicity in the newspapers blamed it on field mice and squirrels. There's so much cross-contamination of the truth within all this history, not herstory. Return to 0 point. So, after this publicity in the newspapers blaming the Hunta virus, or Navajo flu, on field mice and squirrels, of course, problem solved. Kill a few million rodents and the situation will go away before the cause is found out. Not so much. Well, this was not the case with Hunta virus. Hunta spelled Hunta. The cause was not found out. I know it sounds too Kurt Vonnegut, like Vonnegut busy, and I wish it were just a dark fantasy. I wish it was a theory and not true. Ghost Wolf. So, yesterday's news. Today, here we have West Nile virus and Ebola appearing randomly, where accidents and deliberate intent were at play. And what about anthrax? And the dreaded pox. What about the dreaded pox? It appears the virus, or the spore of the virus, found a place to reside and exist prior to its finding a living host. It was found in the grain shipments of wheat that came from Canada and was shipped to Native Americans living on public assistance on the reservation in New Mexico and Arizona. It went to a few other places as well, I'll tell you. Not anthrax, but Hantavirus is right here. Not here in this house, but definitely in Southern California. I'm not afraid of it. I make peace with it. Make peace with it. Especially if it's man-made. So most of the outbreaks were in these designated areas, i.e. New Mexico, Canada, shipment containers, Arizona. The grain, which was from fields being experimented on by highly classified corporate chemical conglomerates, which shall, for the moment, remain nameless. There is plenty of information out about that part of the story. The experiment had to do with working with a crossbreeding of human genetics with that of plants. Oh, man. Well, in the results of that experiment, the farmers were left with huge fields of now contaminated wheat and grain. Following the prudent policy of waste not, want not, solutions as to what to do with the grain went into high gear. There were some problems with the grain. One of the big problems was that you could not make bread. So grain failure. From the first group of grains, it was decided to market the grains as cattle and livestock feed. Whew. Also, it is common for some poverty-stricken indigenous people to use these grains for their own food supply. Fry bread, such as fry bread, and tortillas, bread that does not need to rise. Already that there's a target, and I don't like it. I do not consent. This later created another serious problem throughout the American West, as the livestock feeding upon the contaminated grain in other areas caused the breakout of brucellosis virus, which was then blamed upon the innocent buffalo of Yellowstone Park. Oh man, here we go. This later created such an issue to the point that we are actually going to hear, with all apologies to the environmentalists, it is the nature, the nature of this strain of mechanical viruses. Do not fear it, be conscious of it. Consciousness is key. But you gotta have your truth straight. Whole truth, not partial truths. All of us here at Wolf Lodge, myself included, have been avid supporters of the buffalo in the Buffalo Wars, trying desperately to stop the senseless killing of thousands of buffalo who were never carriers of the disease in the first place. I'm going to have to chime in again only because I don't think that there are any more genetically purebred buffalo roaming the northern hemisphere. I don't know. Maybe Catalina Island off the coast of Southern California. I do recall, strange that they'd be out there, but I think in Camp Pendleton I've seen a buffalo, but who knows if it was a purebred or not. Probably not. if there are any true blood, genetically true bison left, we can only hope that there are. We can redirect the narrative together, individually and collectively, because we are part of it too. So, I gotta hope. I'm back on the hope grind. So, this type of mechanical virus has its own intelligence. It will seek out your resonant frequencies and find those that resonate to diseasement, what we can call the carrier frequencies. You may not actually be showing the symptoms of the disease, but you can carry within your holographic field, in your actual physical system, the frequencies that can manifest the disease. This also may be hereditary or induced by some life condition. The frequency can lie dormant within you for years until the right set of circumstances appear. And then, wham! As if out of the blue, the disease manifests into physical reality almost overnight. And it advances with extreme speed and with devastating effects. Only the implementation of very advanced technology of another order will be able to help us deal with the numbers that will become afflicted in these times. Much of this technology already exists, but the knowledge of its availability, it will soon be found out, as it has been kept from the general public. It's not hidden anymore. Let there be light. Johnny Cash once said, "What's done in the dark will be brought to the light." All hands on deck, family. Oh,